This is the Vanguard podcast, and I'm Gavin.
And I'm Zac.
And today we've just been joined by Adam Christensen, running for Florida's 3rd Congressional District. And we last spoke to Adam back in June, before he won his primary. And Adam is running to replace retiring Representative Ted Yoho and is endorsed by Andrew Yang, Marianne Williamson, and a number of progressive organizations out of Florida and nationwide. How's it going today, Adam?
It's going good. My day's been pretty good so far. I mean, it's not ended yet, but so far I'm good.
Yeah. One of the things that we just wanted to ask you off the bat was kind of what's the mood like in your district? I mean, we're about a week away from the general election. Obviously, Joe Biden nationally has positioned himself with a bit of a lead. We wanted to ask you, how are people feeling as far as your district? Are they, excited about the race? Are they eager to vote? And then what kind of issues do you hear when you're talking to voters out there?
It's kind of interesting right now. Typically, or at least for like the last few months, it's been especially in like Clay County and some of these other heavily Republican, heavily conservative areas, it's been Trump 24/7, like people driving around, like super excited, shouting. And then like 2 weeks ago, it just like died. Like the entire mood just shifted. And I don't know why. And it's really been kind of quiet. And it's been extremely strange as well, because like when I am out in like Fleming Island in Clay County, which is like the place I should do the worst in the entire county, like I'm getting honked at and people are waving and they're excited. And I'm like, this is weird. And literally I had somebody from the Clay County Chamber of Commerce run out and give me some water. And I was like, this is strange. Normally, Clay County Chamber of Commerce doesn't like Democrats and they don't like people out here. And so it's very weird right now. I don't know. I'm actually feeling pretty good about it. And we're all feeling actually really good about it right now. What we know is that if we even get 3 out of 20 Republicans to either not vote or to vote for us, we win. And it's a landslide. And so that is what we have put most of our resources into. And most of our, persuasion is actually going after conservatives and Republicans that people have not tried to talk to from really the left in 30, 40 years. And it seems to be going well. I don't know. We will see in a couple days.
Well,
go ahead.
I was going to ask, you mentioned that recently in your district, there was a big Trump push until recently. And that brings to mind your opponent, Kat Cammack. I just was wondering, does she kind of brand herself as a more Trumpian Republican, or has she been one of the Republicans that's kind of trying to distance herself from the president, kind of seeing, reading the tea leaves, Can you just contrast yourself a little bit with your opponent in case anyone's watching that hasn't made up their mind or maybe doesn't quite know what to think of your policy?
Yeah. So, there's a couple parts to this that are fascinating. Number one, if you haven't seen the things that we've been putting out, the videos, I would go watch those. They are phenomenal. We proved that she made up her entire life story, including growing up on a cattle ranch. We proved that she was not bankrupted by Obama. She lied about that. She actually kind of bankrupted herself. She had $350,000 in debt and went on a 108-day cruise. She lied about being homeless. That was interesting. She was fired by Ted Yoho, who is the current congressman, and was demoted and shipped back to Gainesville, Florida. And for some reason, after this incident, she started getting paid more money than before she was fired as the chief of staff to a consulting firm on staff of Ted Yoho, and also to her husband's lawn mowing company. On top of that, it appears that she got a political favor to get into the Naval War College, despite the fact she had no qualifications to get in. And literally, Yoho got her in. But Yoho has refused to endorse her. So something happened. It's pretty bad. And she has been profiting ever since. And we're going to drop the third part, which is basically her charity, which has multiple IRS issues and has been audited before and fined and is probably going to be again and probably dissolved. So those are all just the basic things of like what has been happening in our race. Now, on top of that, there's an ethics complaint that has been filed in Congress alleging that Ted Yoho and Kat Cammack had an affair and that the money is hush money and blackmail. So that has also happened. On top of that, yeah, this is like the most. Like, this race is,
yeah, this is a lot crazier than I was expecting.
So on top of that, Donald Trump has come here 3 times, basically to try to prop her up because he knows if he loses our district, the entire race in Florida is over. He was going to send his son, and his son got coronavirus. Rand Paul has weighed in on our race. That was fun. I enjoyed that one. He went after me on Twitter. It's been a very interesting couple weeks. And so, yeah, it's just, as far as contrasting ourselves with her, well, there's that stuff. But then there's also the fact that, our policy page is flushed out. We actually know what we're talking about. We have plans. We dropped a jobs plan as well. Basically, it had a couple different parts. One, making high-speed rail, doing internet throughout the entire district, all of the counties, setting up small business incubators. So that if you have an idea for a company, you can start it in your own hometown. You don't have to move somewhere else. Expanding the airport so that we can get investors that actually fly in here. We can expand, and those investors can then go to the small business incubators and invest there. And on top of that, getting rid of the phosphate mines and actually creating small carbon farming pilot programs with small family-owned farms. And basically what we found is that this would bring in about 32,000 jobs if we were able to implement all of it. And so, yeah, as far as what we're doing, why we're doing it, who we are, the fact that I have literally not lied in this campaign about who I am has been a complete contrast. And it's, a lot of fun. And we feel good. I really do. Most people have written this place off a long time ago, said it was impossible. And now they're starting to realize, I don't know if you saw the map I just put out on Twitter, but basically in all of Florida, the county that has the highest Democrats versus Republicans who have voted, the highest one in the entire state is Alachua County, Gainesville, Florida. And that is not usual. So that's very exciting. It shows we're actually, like, the work we're doing is going very well. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there you go.
You see that? You see the one real dark blue one?
Yeah.
That's us.
Wow.
And then the one below it is Marion County, and typically that is heavily Republican. We've been doing a lot of work there, but also State House Rep, who is 23 years old, Cynthia De La Rosa, is running in that area against the minority whip of the Republican Party for the House, for the State House. And in case you can't tell, Democrats are doing pretty okay. So, and then on top of that, Clay County is typically one of those deep, dark red, not anywhere close. And as you can tell, it's actually just a light kind of pinkish. So we're doing good. And the numbers are better than they have probably ever been here in this area. And if we pull this off, oh my God.
Yeah, one of the things that we spoke to you about a little bit when we talked back in June was the fact that your campaign is largely youth run. You have a lot of young people working on your campaign. And I just wanted to ask you about the what advantages you saw from that, specifically in the time of a pandemic where a lot of the traditional campaigning, on the ground, shaking hands isn't really applicable.
It leveled the playing field. You had people that have decades of experience in campaigning that couldn't do what they were good at anymore. Like the way that they ran campaigns got thrown out the window and they had to try something completely new, but they didn't know how. And so they had to completely rewrite their own playbooks, but they weren't able to. And so for us, we were able to build the digital infrastructure. We were able to do, live streams. Like the setup behind me is a green screen where we actually have an actual studio set up in my apartment. So it looks real, it looks high quality, like it looks professional. It's the little things like that. And so we were able to put all that together. Cody Yules, who's our deputy, he's actually our communications director, but he's actually in Nashville, Tennessee. And so he's been with me since the beginning. We went to high school together, but literally everyone on our campaign, so our campaign manager is 21 years old. He just turned 21. Our two deputy campaign managers are 20 and 20. Our Hispanic outreach coordinator is 19. Our communications director is 22. And then, our deputy communications director is 21. So that is our team. So we didn't know how to do things badly. And because the entire playbook got thrown out for traditional campaigning, we were able to write a new one because we didn't know the way we were supposed to do it. And so we figured out what worked and we did it efficiently and effectively and did it very quickly. So yeah, did that answer the question?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Just to follow up on that a little bit more, do you think that the youth vote is going to be an impact in the election in Florida? Obviously, Florida's, ever since 2000, Florida's kind of been the sole focus of every election, the swing state of note. Obviously, you've mentioned that you think that if you're able to pull this off, then you're the state will follow you electorally. Do you think that young people are going to play a role in keeping the purple state pushing it blue?
I don't know if you've seen the numbers, but we're like 4x what we were in 2016 for this age group already. And like, we haven't even hit election day. Yeah. So it's phenomenal. And what happens is when you give people something to actually vote for, and you give them a candidate, you know, that actually knows what they're going through and is fighting for them in their daily lives, they get excited, they get energized. And that's really what we're seeing. The reason that is so dark blue, I honestly believe, is because of the youth vote, and because you're seeing a lot of populations that realize that, you know, we actually got a shot to change things. And it's not just lip service. It's not a typical, you know, politician person who says everything that's right and does whatever they're supposed to do. And yeah. No, it's a real person who actually knows what we're going through, and it's literally, if my life gets better, everybody else's life gets better. Like, that is, I'm fighting for myself. I'm fighting for everyone else. Like, that is what's happening. And so that is energizing people. But we're also seeing it across the state, where we're seeing, especially the youth vote, just explode here in Florida, in Texas, in Michigan. It's incredible. So we will see if it pays off. But you know, like I said, feeling good.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you picked up some pretty notable big endorsements during your campaign. Of course, that of Andrew Yang and Marianne Williamson probably being the biggest named, you know, past presidential candidates on the Democrat side. Could you just speak a little bit about how you received those blessings from Andrew Yang and Marianne Williamson, and how or if those endorsements have helped your campaign in your district? You know, Zach and I were kind of talking, or wondering rather, if people in your district were aware of or were big fans of Yang or Williamson, or if that kind of thing really makes a difference where you're at.
So yeah, it does. And the reason I know that is the fact that the people who are most appreciative of the fact that Marianne Williamson has endorsed us are Republicans.
Interesting.
The people who are most appreciative of the fact that Andrew Yang has endorsed us also happen to be conservatives.
Really?
It's very strange, because like, I've literally had people that ran in the primary on the Republican side, like, talk to me, like, sit down and talk to me and be like, how did you get Andrew Yang? Like, that was one I would have loved forever to have been able to get. I was like, it was policy. I mean, it was literally like, we said what we believed, we stood up for it. And, you know, we were able to market it in a way that got attention. And so with Marianne, you know, she saw us, she was one of the biggest, she was one of the first ones. Howie Long at Blue America, he down with Charity, he was one of the big ones as well. Or it just, he saw the potential, and he saw that if anybody was going to be able to do it, it was us. And they jumped on board when a lot of people would have looked the other way, or been like, you know what, when you get other stuff, like, maybe I'll look at you, which is what a lot of groups did. But they jumped on board, and they said, you know what? Yeah, you have everything you need to be able to do this. Andrew Yang came shortly after. That was very exciting for everyone. But it's really about, number one, what you believe, whether or not you're real with people, and whether or not they actually believe that you believe what you're saying. That's the biggest thing. I will let me give you one more thing. A Republican candidate who ran in the primary came up to me 2 days ago in Clay County, no less, in Fleming Island. And he looks at me, he goes, I don't like you. I don't agree with almost anything you say. I'm not voting for you, but I'm not voting for her. He goes, at least I know what I'm getting. Everything you believe in is on your website. Your policies are up there. I may not like them, but the devil that you know is better than the one that you don't. And I've been telling this to people. I'm like, look, if you water down your policies, if you try to fake and be somebody that Republicans might be okay with, they will look right through you. They will see right through you. And honestly, they will not give you a second glance, because you don't even believe what you're saying. And if you're going to pander, if you're going to do that, they won't even respect you.
Yeah, I think above all else, voters value authenticity. And I think that that speaks volumes. I want to ask you how if you were to, you know, kind of, obviously if you win your election and you move into Congress, you're going to expand your platform and expand your reach. Is continuing to, you know, pass the endorsements, I guess, you know, Andrew Yang wasn't a name that people were familiar with all that long ago. Marianne Williamson wasn't a name that people were familiar with all that long ago. As your, I guess, platform and, you know, your role in U.S. politics grows, do you intend to endorse other candidates and kind of pass the rope down?
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of getting there if you're not going to pull people along with you to try to achieve what you need?
It seems like
that's
it seems often we have a lot of insurgent progressive candidates that, you know, make it into, or I shouldn't say often. We've in the past had insurgent progressive candidates that get into office, and I would say, don't do as much endorsing, don't do as much, reaching out to up and coming insurgent candidates out of fear that there's going to be backlash from the Democratic establishment. Do you see yourself trying to, become a active member and, participating in the Democratic Party politics and playing that game, or do you see yourself as more of a independent-minded Democrat that's gonna? I don't know. I just do imagine seeing yourself having to nuzzle to Nancy Pelosi or a speaker position as opposed to kind of forging your own path.
I think you can do both. I mean, well, the one thing that we've learned, especially running this campaign, is you have to play the game. If you don't play the game, you will lose. It's over. But you need to be able to do it in a way that you do not lose who you are. You do not water down your policies. You do not water down who you are. And you're able to actually be effective at it. One big way that we did that in this campaign is like I said, we refused to change our policies to market to Republicans. Refused. What that means is we had to be better. We had to actually be creative in how we were marketing it and how we were actually framing it and how we were doing our messaging. We had to make that better in a way that nobody had ever done. And we did that. And we did it successfully, so that when I talk about Medicare for all or universal basic income or universal childcare, I sound like a Republican. I have not changed anything about myself, but the way that I say it makes it sound like it is the conservative option, is the fiscally responsible option. It is the one where the government is giving you your money back. And I think you have to do that. You have to do that on the Democratic side. You have to do it on the Republican side. You have to do it wherever it's going to allow your policies to have the greatest shot of getting through and getting passed. And so that's kind of some of the stuff. So we literally frame it as a middle-class tax cut.
Yeah.
Economics,
Gavin and I have talked a lot about your campaign in regards to that. I think it's one of the smartest things that you guys were able to do was to kind of take these, what would appear to most leftists as common sense issues, and frame them as common sense issues to voters who, may have been, predisposition to, be reluctant after years of propaganda that the government can't fulfill any of these promises. I think that that's one of the things that I would imagine that you might run into a lot of voters who are very unconvinced that the government is going to be able to deliver on something like Medicare for all, especially working in a red district. A lot of times Republican voters are sympathetic to a small government argument because, very against social services, just out of surely being convinced that the government can't do anything right. How do you approach that part of the argument?
You use that framing. What is a health insurance company? It's a middleman. It is literally taking 30% of everything that you pay. It is bureaucracy. It is red tape. And if you get rid of them and you remove them from the industry, you now have a more streamlined industry. You have a free market again. And guess what? You have no more middlemen and you're paying 30% less. Did I sound like a Democrat there? That is literally Medicare for all.
Yeah, 100%. And
that's it.
The public, the people, you don't get a lot of pushback from that further on? I'm just curious.
People hate insurance companies. You kidding me? The hardcore Republicans hate insurance companies. They see them as scams. And they are. If they're middlemen and they are literally stopping you from being able to have cheaper healthcare, they see it as a scam. If the fact that you don't have choice, you don't get to choose who your doctor is or who your hospital is because an insurance company chooses for you based on who's in or out of network, they see that as a scam. And so you frame it like that. You frame it as it is a scam that we are paying insurance companies. And they're like, hell yeah, let's do this thing. Like, all right, who are we fighting? I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. Well, if you do make it into Congress, and if Joe Biden makes it into the White House, then the resistance will not be done. Joe Biden is not a Democrat who's necessarily signed on with every issue on your platform. In fact, you're quite to the left of him on a lot of policy issues, despite the way you might frame them. You don't think that's accurate?
No, I think it's insane that he hasn't signed on to these.
Oh yeah, agreed. And my question is just, we've heard so much talk about, pushing Joe Biden to the left or pushing Pelosi or the leadership to the left. Once everyone is, once Biden's in the White House, and if you reach Congress, I'm just interested in what kind of strategies you will pursue to help get these middle-class tax cuts implemented for the American people, who, of course, now more than ever, need them. Of course, the coronavirus has laid bare the horrible cruelty of employment being tied to healthcare. So many thousands of people have lost their jobs, and people are looking at evictions. I'm just wondering, how you're going to resist not only the Republicans, of course, in Washington, but also the more corporate-minded Democrats, people like Joe Biden that aren't, really on board with this stuff.
Well, you just hit it. I mean, the way you just framed that right there, that's not a way a Democrat could resist. If you make it seem like it is moderate, they'll be like, okay. It's wherever the political power pushes. If there's one thing that we've learned, especially about Joe Biden over the years, it's wherever the power and the political winds go, that's typically where he's at. And so you make it so that they have no other choice. That's what you do. You force them to do what you want. And you do it because you have enough people who are willing to be able to do that. And at the same time, you make it seem like it is the logical, almost conservative option. Because guess what? We're not nationalizing your healthcare system. We're simply removing insurance companies.
Yeah, and I think that's 100%. And it wouldn't be the first time that even a Republican in history has tried to remove private insurance industries. Obviously, Dwight Eisenhower is a famous Republican that attempted to provide public health care, not public health care, but
I am interested in one thing, which is just that despite, and I agree that Joe Biden has clearly, shifted his policies to be on the right or wrong side of things. What I don't think is as malleable as, that factor is the health insurance industry, which of course remains a hugely profitable donor base, essentially for the Democrat and Republican parties. It's something that both parties are basically locked into supporting indefinitely because of the money that flows into their party. So I'm just wondering, in addition to, hoping that the winds change and that Biden decides to, do you plan on calling out corruption where you see it? Or is that something that you would consider engaging in?
Yep. We've done it the entire campaign. Why would I stop now? I mean, that's literally my day job. And so it's like, I don't care who it is. You screw over other people, you're not getting away with it. That's it. So that's one thing that most people have not had the nerve to be able to do, is to actually say what is right, what is wrong. And I don't care who you are. If you do it, it's wrong. And hold their feet to the fire. So that's where it is. It's you hold their feet to the fire and you force them to do what's right, even if they don't want to.
100%. And I think that one of the strongest things about your campaign and your candidacy is, the way that you've been able to just articulate that so matter-of-factly, like you mentioned in this interview, none of the things that you've even articulated have made you seem like even a Democrat. You would, almost entirely nonpartisan in your framing, which I think is a net asset, especially in a district like your own, when you're trying to convert either neutral or sometimes even conservative leaning voters. I just had one more question. Where can people go to support you if they want to learn more about your campaign, follow you, and help you get across the finish line?
Yeah, so it's forthemany.notjustme.com. That's the best way. That's our website. You can donate. You can do all sorts of things. Oh, there it is. It's that thing. forthemany.notjustme.com. If you'd like to follow us on Twitter or Facebook or anything like that, it's AC for Congress 2020. And that's pretty much it, I think. Awesome. We have a jobs plan video up there under the platform page. So it's pretty nice. And then obviously our TV ad is on there as well. So if you want to watch any of that or kind of see what kind of future we're, fighting for and what we believe in, it's all up there. It's awesome. Like I said, we're putting it out there. We're not hiding anything.
And we'll put that in the show notes. So anybody who wants to take a look and find it in the details below. Adam, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today. We really enjoyed it, and we wish you the best of luck on Tuesday.
Yeah, if anyone's watching this video, make sure to check out Adam's website and donate to the campaign. Obviously, you're the preferable option in your district in Florida, so we really wish you the best of luck going into that race, and look forward to hopefully speaking to you again sometime in the future.
Thanks. That picture of me on there, golly, that was 10 months ago. I look so young. I feel like I have wrinkles and I'm tired now. Like, oh my goodness, that doesn't.
A lot has happened. A lot has happened.
You're seasoned.
A lot has happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Anyway, thanks so much, Adam. I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Yeah, take care, man.
Y'all have a good night. Bye.
Thanks.